Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, respected teachers and my dear students. The important question under discussion of today's video is the writer's attitude question, which has been included in the syllabus of 2027 for IGCSE 0500 candidates. And this question is included in the directed writing question. Previously, directed writing was carrying 40 marks. Now it is carrying 40 marks but with a combination of 35 plus 5 marks. As far as the 35 marks portion is concerned, the details are the same as we have been discussing previously in the directed writing question. But the focus of today's video will be to discuss the 5 marks question which has been added, and this is called the writer's attitude question, and it is similar to the opinion question and the attitude question which we were doing in 1123, and similar such question has been added even in the summary writing of text B. Now let's first of all look at the question, that in which shape this question will be given. First of all, you would be asked to reread a portion of the text which will be taken from any of the two texts. Now, this particular question which I have taken is from the past papers, and it is from 2027 specimen paper. And on the similar pattern, I will be sharing one more question with you. So, my dear students, let's read the question and the text area from where we are to pick out the writer's attitude. And let's read the question first. The question says, use your own words to evaluate the writer's attitude towards living abroad and give details from the text to justify your answer. And in some of the questions, it has been written, give 3 details. Now it is understood that the question is carrying 5 marks. So at least 3 details in own words should be given, and even the details can be picked in the form of details from the text. So I will be sharing the sample answer for this question. Let's first find out that what is the attitude of the writer in this question about living abroad. If we had stayed at home, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I have had here. Our Berlin adventure also extended our cultural horizons. There has been plenty to discover about European civilization, not just in Germany but in neighboring countries too. And I feel more of a world citizen than I did previously. Most of all, I'm really happy for my girls who are growing up to be tolerant, happy, and culturally enriched young people. Now, you are very much familiar of the fact that the language of text A and text B in directed writing is not very difficult. And we have very clearly understood the writer's attitude towards living abroad, that it is quite positive. And he is also very happy for the fact that his daughters would also be enjoying there. So let's see that what further details that we can find out in order to attempt this question. First of all, my dear students, these are the steps that you need to note down in order to attempt this question. And approaching question 1A, analyzing and evaluating, which is carrying 5 marks, the first step that you have to take is that you should read the question and that paragraph which is advised to be reread very carefully. And the question says, identify the main ideas, key facts, and opinions in the text. So you have to identify. Identify means that they are given there, and you just have to identify, pick from there, and reproduce in your answer. The second step is break down the question, that break down the wordings of the question as to what it is demanding. Focus on specific prompts like how does the writer emphasize? Or sometimes the question says evaluate the effectiveness of particular attitude. These would be the wording of the question that you need to pinpoint and break down. The third step will be provide evidence. Now, many students say that can they provide the evidence in own words? Evidence is to be picked. Evidence can be direct quotations, and it can even be paraphrasing of the ideas mentioned in that paragraph. I will be sharing two sample answers of this question in which one answer will be having quotations and the other answer will be having paraphrasing of the same question which I have just shared before you, and you will be finding ample guidance to attempt this question, and you don't need to worry because it is carrying just 5 marks. But the thing is that when you are striving for an excellent grade, even 1 mark is very important. So that's why I have made a separate video on this question. The fourth step is analyze techniques. Identify rhetorical devices. Has the writer used any rhetorical device? What is the tone of the writer? What is the structure of that information? Is it persuasive technique used by the writer or is it rhetorical technique? Which technique he has used? You have to identify those techniques so that you can understand the writer's attitude very well. And the last step will be that you have to be concise and precise. Why? Because the question is carrying only 5 marks and clarity and direct information is required. Focus should be on relevant information and precisely expressed. These are the 5 steps that, my dear student, you have to keep in mind. So now let's look at what are the assessment objectives for this question. These I have taken from the marking scheme. The examiners examine candidates' ability to analyze. Have you been able to analyze the writer's attitude? Have you evaluated it? Meaning, have you judged it critically? Have you developed facts? Meaning, have you tried to make up information according to your own knowledge and according to your own brain power, or are you just reproducing the idea? The examiner will judge this. And have you been able to develop facts, ideas, and opinions with textual support as well as demonstrate understanding of the writer's techniques and their effects? If, my dear student, you just memorize this line, or at least you keep these points in mind, there will be no difficulty in attempting question text A from text A 1A, because basically this is what you have to keep in mind, that what is the examiner looking for in your answer. So he is basically looking for analysis. He is basically looking for development of ideas, facts, and opinions, just as you do in directed writing. But here they have made a separate part of the same thing because the students were very confused about evaluation and development. So they thought that they should be further clarified about this topic, and that's why separate 5 marks have been allocated for this. Otherwise, there is nothing to worry about. Now, my dear student, this is how you will write down the answer. This is an assessment. This is a sample answer. You can make it brief. This is just a, you can say, a sample for you. It's a prompt for you so that you also learn how to write similar kind of answer. The writer feels very positive about living abroad, just as we have already understood, and believes it has benefited both her and her family. So the writer was a female. She thinks that moving away from home has given her many valuable chances that she would not have received otherwise. So the valuable chances that she got while living abroad would not have been achieved in her own country. She also appreciates how the experience has broadened their understanding of different cultures, as they have been able to explore not only Germany but nearby countries as well. The examples of the places that the writer has mentioned over there. The writer feels more connected to the wider world and is especially pleased that her daughters are becoming open minded, joyful, and culturally aware individuals. So, this is how you see this answer has been written completely in own words. The details have been given, but they have been transferred in own words. This is one version of the answer. Another version I'm going to share with you, but for that, we need to look at another question. So, this is another question from text B. The previous one was from text A. This is from text B. I had worked for months to cultivate one prospective client. Everyone knew winning a big order from that client could be a deciding factor in which of us from the international sales team got promoted. Then I discovered from a junior colleague that Ravi is also trying to net his wealthy individual, even though Ravi knew I was already in pursuit. I knew if I ignored the situation, he would just seal the deal, profiting shamelessly from all my slaving away, and our boss would promote Ravi. But if I had directly confronted Ravi, it could have made me look pretty and selfish. At the time, I calculated the best way to fight back was to be just as devious as Ravi. Now, this was the question from this paragraph. Use your own words to evaluate Jaz's attitude to work. Sometimes you are asked about the writer's attitude, and sometimes you are asked about the attitude of that character. Give details from the text to justify your answer. Now, this is the sample answer to that paragraph. Jaz's attitude towards work is highly competitive and self serving. She views securing a big client as crucial for her promotion, acknowledging that it could be the deciding factor in her career. Deciding factor has been taken from the text as an important detail. Upon learning that Ravi is also pursuing the client, Jazz feels threatened and frustrated. Instead of confronting him directly, she decides to match his tactics, saying the best way to fight back was to be just as devious as Ravi. This reveals Jazz's feelings, Jazz's willingness to compromise ethics in order to win. She is focused on personal success even if it involves manipulating others to achieve her goals. So you see that in this answer, first of all, Jazz's attitude towards work has been given in the form of two adjectives. Then there have been two details picked from the text in order to verify that what was her attitude. Number one, she considered it to be extremely important for her promotion as a deciding factor. And number two, she said that she decided to match his tactics, saying the best way to fight back was to be just as devious, as clever. Now, this is the sample answer for the same question. Now, this has been written in a slightly simple language, more simple language. Jazz takes work very seriously and sees it as highly competitive, where success depends on securing important clients. She feels frustrated and betrayed when a colleague targets the same client she has spent months trying to win, especially because she thinks he is taking advantage of the work which she had done. Jazz also worries about how she will appear to her boss as she does not want to seem selfish or unprofessional. This shows that she is ambitious and determined to protect her chances of promotion. Her decision to fight back by being just as cunning as her colleagues suggests that she is willing to use clever or secretive methods if that is what it takes to succeed. So you see that devious word has also been explained in this answer. Now, my dear students, I hope that some part of the question and the answers are clear. This is a 5 mark question. You need to read the question very carefully. You need to add at least three details. The writer is trying to analyze how well you have understood the question, how well you have developed the ideas, how carefully you have evaluated them. So these are already the skills which were required in directed writing question, but now they have been are in the form of a separate question as well. There is no need to worry. More practice and more reading of such sample answers will help you improve your abilities. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Allah.